In 2018, a man looked into cameras and begged for his family's safe return. 48 hours later, he confessed to the unthinkable. But in 2026, something happened that changes everything we thought we knew. And I need to warn you, what I'm about to share will stay with you long after this video ends. My name is Cellblock Shades and I'm a crime analyst who spent years studying cases like this. But I'm also a parent of 2 children. And 8 years ago, I lost my own children in a tragedy that mirrors this case in ways that haunt me every single day. So when I tell you this case matters, when I tell you we need to pay attention to what's happening right now in 2026, I'm not speaking as just an analyst. I'm speaking as someone who knows the unbearable weight of this kind of loss. Over the next hour, we're going to examine new revelations that surfaced in 2026 that weren't available before, the psychological profile that everyone got wrong, the warning signs that appeared months, even years earlier, and most importantly, why this case represents a dangerous shift happening right now in how we handle family violence in this country. This isn't about entertainment. This is about protection. This is about awareness. And this is about making sure what happened to Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Nico never happens again. Before we begin, I need you to do something. If this case affects you, if you see yourself or someone you know in this story, leave a single word in the comments. Aware. That's it. Just aware. Because awareness is the first step to prevention. And please share this with someone who needs to see it. Subscribe if you want more deep analysis that actually helps protect families. Let's begin. August 13, 2018. Frederick, Colorado. To the outside world, this was a family living the dream. A quiet neighborhood. A beautiful home. 2 young daughters. Another baby on the way. Everything looked perfect. But here's what nobody talks about, and this is where 2026 changes everything. Between 1:48 a.m. and 3:39 a.m., 111 minutes passed. And in 2026, we finally have technology and analysis that reveals what actually happened during that window. This is the timeline that never quite made sense, the stretch of time where assumptions replaced evidence for years. Now we can see the gaps. And once you see them, you can't unsee them. Watch this moment. Right here. As a crime analyst, this 17-second window told me everything. And in 2026, behavioral experts confirmed what I suspected all along. The words chosen. The movements. The pauses. The performance. But the interview wasn't the moment everything fell apart. That happened 6 hours earlier, in a conversation nobody knew about until 2026. This is where it gets complicated. And uncomfortable. Because in 2026, we learned there wasn't one confession. There were 4. Each one different. Each one revealing a different layer. A shifting story. A changing truth. And each version tells us something critical about the psychology behind it all. As someone who lost my own children, I struggle with this part. Because I have to analyze the mind of someone who could do this while carrying the weight of knowing what that loss feels like. And I'll be honest with you, there are nights I can't sleep after working on this case. But that's exactly why we have to understand it. Because understanding is prevention. In 2026, researchers analyzed 47 different data points from the 18 months before this happened. And what they found should terrify every one of us. The stressors were there. The changes were there. The warning signs were hiding in plain sight, masked by routine, by smiles, by social media, by the illusion of normalcy. On January 3, 2026, something happened that ripped this case back open. And it's not what you think. What people believed for years collided with new analysis, new insight, and a contradiction that could no longer be ignored. And when the truth emerged, it didn't just change how we see this case. It exposed a pattern. Here's what makes me angry as both an analyst and a parent. This wasn't a random act. This wasn't unpredictable. This was a system failure. And in 2026, we're seeing that system fail more families than ever before. I've analyzed over 200 cases with similar patterns. And there are warning signs that appear again and again. Information that saves lives if we're willing to see it. Now here's where this gets really important. Because what happened in Colorado in 2018 is part of a pattern that's accelerating in 2026. This is no longer isolated. This is a public crisis. And too many people still believe it looks like chaos when, in reality, it follows a disturbingly familiar structure. When I lost my children, nobody saw it coming. The signs were there, but nobody knew what to look for. And every single day since then, I've dedicated myself to making sure other parents have the knowledge I didn't have. We need to talk about the psychology here. Not to excuse it, never to excuse it, but to recognize it. Because recognition is prevention. The appearance of normal means nothing. The double life. The compartmentalization. The ability to smile while everything underneath is collapsing. Okay. We've covered the dark. Now we talk about the light. Because there are things you can do. There are ways to protect yourself and others. Awareness turns into action when people know what steps to take and when to take them. I've spoken with families who've lost loved ones in similar cases. And they all say the same thing. We wish someone had known what to look for. Advocacy, education, and community awareness are how change begins. This is how lives are saved. As someone who's walked this path, I promise you this. Every person who watches this video and shares this knowledge is potentially saving a life. That includes you. So let's come back to 2026. Because what we're seeing right now is a perfect storm. And here's something that will surprise you. The 2026 development I mentioned earlier isn't really about one man. It's about dozens of other cases that followed the exact same pattern. Cases being investigated right now. In your state. Maybe in your community. Here's what I need from you. If you recognized warning signs in your life, reach out to the resources available to you. Do it today. Share this video not for views but for prevention. Leave aware in the comments if you commit to watching for warning signs in your community. Subscribe if you want more analysis that actually protects families. And finally, if you're a parent like me, if you've experienced loss like me, or if you simply care about preventing this from happening to one more family, thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for caring. Thank you for being willing to look at darkness so we can create light. This is Cell Block Shades. Stay aware. Stay safe. And remember, you might be the person who saves a life.